Hear that, fools? Bring on 2021, no doubt, Juice. No doubt. Alright, so I suppose I figured out what my issues were streaming here, so I'm just going to try to do some aftermarket work here. So bear with me so I can get the chat in here. Which side do I want it on? Let's put it on that side. Excuse me. Alright. So I need to add gonna add something to my scene. Let's add a your image. Okay. Browse. Where's my desktop? Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Stream elements. Let's go ahead and click on in there. All right, so this isn't gonna This will be right. We're gonna improvise here. Yep, open it on up. All right. This one's supposed to be for my T plays, not I'll leave the camera like that. I'll just scooch over here. As you can see, this is supposed to be from T plays, but we're gonna leave it like this. Now we're gonna add in the chat window. Just give me 1 second. Browser. Actually, I better break the browser off here. Pop out the chat. Copy that link. Link to the past. All right, we'll close that out. Okay, we're gonna call it chat. Open. All right, hopefully that does it. Okay. Oh, there it is. I wish I could make this thinner. That way I don't have to make it so what ifs. Make it a little bigger. Who cares? Just set it right there. All right, so oh, let me look at this. This is a lot easier than breaking my damn neck here. All right, pop out this chat. Slide it on over. Justin Bozeman, remember I told you everyone in 2017 I wouldn't buy a Switch until Nintendo solved their game drought problem. Visor, let's just run it back to the best decade ever, the 90s. Here, Visor, the best decade. Still ain't bought one, says Justin Bozeman. Where I can't wait for a console that would get the current major third-party games and fix the controller. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen for you, Justin. Oh, all right. Let me leave this thing alone till I need it. Let's see. Oh, okay. I see what I'm doing here. 2020 is trash, so I prefer syrup. This is Jarion. Bitch, stop streaming at 5 effing a.m. Excuse me. It's not 5 a.m. here on the hemisphere that matters the most important hemisphere. They're retro death. At least Nintendo is gonna make a powerful Switch that hopefully focuses on the home console side and gets current third party. Not gonna happen, Justin. Sorry. I could have told you that back when it was the NX. Nintendo still doesn't care about Western gamers. Shaking my head. Yeah, I suppose that's right, because a lot of the big Western games we don't get. So, I mean, we're on the same hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? All right. I'm American, okay? We're the greatest country in the world, and therefore, whatever we say goes. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. We just, because we're American. We're Americans, okay? Yeah. So, I think I figured out my issues here. For whatever reason, my computer just does not like Streamlabs OBS. It's okay with Streamlabs, which is what I'm using right now, and a pretty earlier version of it, which is fine by me. I guess it doesn't like all the doohickeys and doodads that comes along with Streamlabs OBS. I like that stuff, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to rock with it. So I just made my own custom template background in Photoshop, as you can see here. So to avoid further issues, I'll just rock out like this. Is that, I don't know. What is my resolution? Because it says, okay, it's gonna say 480p. All right, just had to change my wheel. All right, so we're going good now. I don't think there'll be any issues using the old school OBS studio. But don't nuke me, bro. Says Retro Death. Yeah. I mean, it's 2020, man. Anything could happen. So I don't know what to tell you here. I'm gonna sip on some of my purple stuff real quick. You ever see that Dave Chappelle? I think it was a stand-up where he was talking about that Sunny D commercial from back in the day. And he was talking about, yeah, you guys ever see that Sunny D commercial? And there's a bunch of kids, and there's a bunch of white kids and one little black kid. And the white kid runs to the refrigerator, and he's like, guys, what do you guys want to drink? I got some Sunny D, I got some purple stuff. And he says, look at that black kid's face when he says purple stuff. That black kid wants the purple stuff. No damn Sunny D. What is juice? Oh. Black kid likes the purple stuff. Hilarious. Yeah, we like our ice in this house. It's a lot of ice. Because, later, the ice melts and it becomes cold water. Recycle. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you Frenchies might want to learn that. You know what I'm saying? Sunny D sucks. Says Screwface. It does. I don't like it at all. I'm trying to think what reminds me of Sunny D. Is it Tampico? Tampico. It's like that Sunny D. Yeah, I don't care for that either, but I think I liked it more when I was a kid, but not no more. Screwface, he on that tang. You like that orange tang, huh? We like that orange stuff too. Black kids growing up, we like the purple stuff, and we like the orange drink, not juice. Orange juice is expensive. We like that orange drink, not drink, but drank. Yeah, was playing my Switch last night to be greeted with the dreaded Joy-Con drift, says Aiji. This is not the Nintendo I grew up loving. Preach it, Aiji. Preach it. I've been trying to say that this isn't bringing me any joy. I'm not happy to say these things, but they are relevant. They are true. Aiji knows what I'm talking about. A lot of you guys do. And I know a lot of people know where I'm coming from. They just, ow, they don't like Nintendo to take hits. Ow, don't do it. I don't like it. Just, if we could be honest, we could still enjoy our console, our favorite gaming company, so far, and still, talk about what's not right about it. You don't have to pretend nothing's wrong right now. All right, so you guys know what this is about. This is about how 2020 sucks. Obviously, this is the more important real life, as you will, stuff that's going on. Social unrest at a maximum fever pitch. Just the vitriolic. How do you put it? Tribalistic political climate we're in. You got COVID. You got the COVIDs out there. And I just want to say something real quick, because we have a person that in the White House, who I'm supposed to call president, running around talking about how many different names coronavirus has. So some of you may not even know this, but as far as I know, other than the racist one, I said that R word, that the person in the White House claims to, I'm not gonna repeat it, but there's only two names for COVID, and it's COVID-19 and coronavirus, and they mean the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna help some people who may not understand this, and some people may just not even have put it together. But coronavirus, all right, you ready? COVID is just an abbreviation of coronavirus. I'll explain it to you. Co for corona. Vid or VI is for virus. D is for disease. So COVID is coronavirus disease. 19 is the year it started. So COVID-19. It is a short way to say coronavirus. Instead of saying coronavirus disease of 2019, it's COVID-19. It's very easy, very simple, but we also have a very simple person in the White House. And yes, I don't care to say that I'm at my wit's end with the nonsense. Like, I'm having to deal with my kids not going back to school, and I'm looking around the world, and a lot of people are dealing with this a lot smarter than we are here. And they've had leaders who've done what the scientists tell us to do, which is the smart thing. This is how this works. And they're in a lot better shape than we are. I won't get into the details. We all live here. We know what the details are, unless you're just completely ignoring them, or, then you won't hear a word I have to say anyway on this. So because of COVID-19, because of our stupid leadership and the way that this has gone on, what I feared, one of the reasons I moved back to Florida, because my dad was getting up in age, and I feared that, he would pass and I wouldn't be around. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to move back. What's up, Kahuna? And unfortunately, it had to be 2020 when this happened, because what that means is that he passed away alone because of the rules with coronavirus running rampant, especially at the time that it happened. We couldn't even go see him. The next time I saw him was in a box full of ashes, and he wanted to be cremated. That was his wish, and so we served that. And you can actually you can see the box behind me there, this way, with his face on it, picture on it. And that was the next time I saw him, because we couldn't view him because of all the rules. So, I'm at my wit's end with the serious stuff going on in the world. But obviously, we're not going to touch more on that anymore. This is also, or this is a gaming channel, so we talk video games here and how terrible, as a Nintendo fan, the situation has been this year. Obviously, COVID has affected Nintendo's output this year. But it's hard for me to say that and move away from it, because we have other companies who also have had to deal with the pandemic, and they live or mostly operate in a country that hasn't gotten their stuff together, which is here. And yet they've been able, Sony specifically, first party stuff, have been able to put out 2 major first party games this year already. And some people will say, well, Animal Crossing and and Paper Mario are 2 major first party games, and I think you'd probably be half right. But for one, Paper Mario, or Animal Crossing anyway, was supposed to come out last year, got delayed into this year, so I don't think much work, if any, was done this year on the game. And I don't want to be a broken record, because we talked about this before. Talked about this in Juice's podcast, Juice's Loose podcast. Talked about it here a few times. But, we know how it is. It's pretty lame. You haven't missed anything really, T-Bon. Um, just me griping about our. I hate to call it political because we're talking about lives here. That's not politics. Just a terrible state of affairs we're in here. But it's lame, man. And then having to deal with, because I'm a person of truth. I like to talk the truth. And I've always been that way. And during the Wii U and 3DS era, which is what I call that, because those were two consoles that Nintendo had out, and when one wasn't serving, the other surely was. So as a Nintendo fan, I was pretty happy during the Wii U era. Yeah, there was droughts on Wii U, but I don't only own a console. I'm also a huge handheld fan from Nintendo, and so I could merge over to my 3DS and get some pretty nice, sizable, gaming in. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's depressing. Maybe it's also this year, but it's just depressing to see Nintendo where it is and being rewarded for it, because they keep selling. It was like PlayStation in the first couple of years when it really didn't have a whole lot. It had third party, so there was always that, and it had good word of mouth because Microsoft botched the Xbox One, and apparently nobody cared about the Wii U, even though it was a pretty solid system. The narrative around that it was dead on the water, or dead in the water. Is that what the saying is? So the Switch is just selling, and that makes me feel like Nintendo is going to relax. I actually had a video 5 years ago, titled "Is Nintendo Lazy?" And the only reason I remember that is because somebody recently commented on that video, and I think the comment was, "Man, this video surely aged well," or something like that, because they felt the same way. I don't, that the video at least was relevant to today, because they're doing some lazy stuff. And again, I'm looking at Sony and Microsoft, and it's not all roses and whatever over there either, because we're about 2 months away from when there's consoles that are supposed to release, and we don't even have prices. I think that has a lot to do with them playing chicken, Sony and Microsoft, with the price with each other. But you got to put a price out there so people can put some money together and be ready to go if you want these things to sell, or just delay them until March of next year or whatever, which may still happen, because for one, we haven't even seen a physical version of the PS5. It's supposed to launch in 2 months, and we haven't even seen it in the flesh, if you will. That is strange. The Xbox One we've seen in and out, pretty much starting with the Game Awards last year. But the problem with the Xbox One, it doesn't have any, major compelling software for you to purchase it. For me, I've already given my reasons why I'm still going to get one, but I'm not the person they need to sell to. Or maybe they feel like they don't need to sell. Maybe they just feel like they're going to do a slow burn. People will buy this console over the years, and they'll get more acclimated with Game Pass and all that, and they'll fall into the ecosystem that way. Because Sony is starting to coalesce around launch games and stuff, but whatever was shown at Microsoft's show and beyond that's supposed to launch. It's so confusing. I don't even know. Like I don't even know what's there day one. And again, for me, it's a practical purchase. I'm getting one anyway, but that's that's not how you sell a console, man. I don't know what's up. Game Awards. Oh, LOL. You meant Kojima Awards, right? The Kojima Awards. That fake ass BS. Is Switch getting Cyberpunk? You are funny, Justin. Switch will get Cyberpunk card game, card battle or something, but it's not getting Cyberpunk 2077. That's a pipe dream. And would you really want to play it on the Switch? Like, I wouldn't. Like, I love my Switch, but I'm not gonna get that version of Cyberpunk. You know? So, and for, like I said, for me, third party is not something I, overly look to, or it's not the reason I buy a Nintendo console. It's for first party. And since the first party and the third party is so lacking at this point, like, major third party releases this year on Switch. Go. I don't see much. And if it did come out, it was jank. And it was late. And at some point it's like, am I gonna go out and buy a $60 version, lesser version of a game that I can get right now for $25? That is the current gen version. That's the full featured. No, I don't know. I don't think I would do that. It doesn't really make sense. For me, outside of the 2K basketball games, I'm not looking forward to buying anything, major third party. There's like, I like to buy smaller third party titles, double A, and also indie games on my Switch. Physical ones. I don't like buying digital indie games because, again, we know Nintendo stuff just doesn't carry over to their next console. Other than like the Wii to Wii U. That was the only time that's happened. And you think, and I felt, going after that, I was like, oh, okay, so that's a step. They're going to make another step next time. Nope, they completely start over from scratch. And I'm so done with that. And people are celebrating these baby steps. Like, there's some new feature on the eShop. I didn't even care to look because I knew it wasn't anything that big of a deal. If anybody wants to share what that is, fine. BioShock Collection, says Juice. That's a major third-party release of a game that's from 2007, 2008. Or at least the first one. I think the last one came out in 2011 or 2012. And 2 is alright. It's not great. BioShock and BioShock Infinite were pretty good games, but I beat those games on 360. I have them still. I have no need to rebuy them and play them portably around my house. I mean, I will do that with certain games. Specific games I pick and say, all right, yeah, I'll double dip on that. The Witcher, I double dipped. Actually, triple dipped at this point, right? So I got the Xbox One version first. Then I got did I get the PC or Switch version next? Probably Switch. And, because it had the crossplay with PC, I was just like, oh, that's great. And I like playing it a lot handheld. And, if I want to sit back and kick back to nice visuals, I'll play it on my PC. So that's a cool option for that. But there's not a lot of games that give you that, outside of like rinky-dink free-to-play games, online-only games like Fortnite. You can't really cross-play or cross progression, a lot of games there. So it is what it is. Juice is going off. Even the SpongeBob port is pretty bad on Switch. Yeah, and it's a port. It's a remaster, but it's a GameCube game. Like, why is that struggling? Why is that? But I think that has issue on other consoles too, if I'm not mistaken. But I actually bought Battle for Bikini Bottom earlier this year because a friend of mine kept saying, "You got to get it, man. It's great, great, great." So I finally caved in earlier this year, and then like maybe a couple months later, they announced they were remastering. It's going to come out this summer for Switch and everybody else, and I was like, ah. So I held out on playing my GameCube version of that game because I was going to buy the Switch version to be able to play it, HD graphics and all that good stuff. But nah, I'm just going to go back and play my GameCube version because it's jank, man. And I don't know. It's just, I just see a lot of just like ignoring. It's gonna be too late at some point. It's gonna be too late. It's like, oh, you're gonna wake up one day and you're gonna be like, this ain't Nintendo no more. And then people like me, we're trying to tell you guys from the beginning to don't cave in to these practices. Don't reward them for mediocrity. And all this stuff, and people are gonna be like, oh man, now it's too late. Should have listened. Yeah. Like the Switch itself, it's just not the quality build of what I'm used to from Nintendo. Like compare it to like the gamepad, right? Like, I feel like this thing is solid. Like I can twist it, and I'm twisting it hard right now, and it's got give, but I'm not worried about it. A little dusty, but I would never ever do my Switch like that, what I just did. I'm scared to like, and I have these big nice Split Pad Pro Joy-Cons on here, and that's another thing. Like I bought these because I was so dissatisfied with the quality of the Joy-Cons, which I was very excited for at the beginning. Like I was super excited for the Joy-Cons when they showed them at the January event in 2017. Like, I was very happy with them. I ran through all 260 whatever hours of oh my god, they're hot because they've been behind my computer. 267 hours or whatever, 267, like like the Switch gives you ones in your time anymore. It's only by fives. But 265 hours or whatever it says of Breath of the Wild, just like this. Joy-Cons, split Joy-Cons in hand. And same thing with Mario. Same thing with ARMS. A lot of people played ARMS and they used the physical controls, the traditional controls. I didn't. I used ARMS. I fought them like this. One of the reasons I got these cool add-ons. I'm sure you guys have seen them before. So I can get the nice boxing punch feel of these. But then after a while, these Joy-Cons started to go out on me. And I couldn't even send these back because I had opened them and replaced my buttons because I wanted to customize and make my Joy-Cons all candy colored and whatnot, M&M colored, and Skittles. And so I couldn't send these back, but all my kids, both of their Joy-Cons didn't work. I was able to send theirs back at least, and I ended up buying, here comes my allergies. I ended up buying joysticks myself and replacing them myself. I couldn't imagine like having to do that on my N64 or my Super Nintendo or, back to NES. Those things were built like tanks. My uncle was mad that we were playing NES on his TV one day. Came home, he told us to stop doing it. We wouldn't stop because it was the only TV we could use. Grandma wasn't having it. So he came home took the NES. There was a daycare center or something across the street. This was in New York. And it was a parking lot, and it was a big fence all the way around it. He took it and he tossed it, flung it like a frisbee across the street into the parking lot, smashed on the concrete. The top of it popped off. The gray plastic top popped off. We went over there and got it, brought it back over, stuck a cartridge in it, played just like it had always played. And that's Nintendium, my other channel, which I haven't had the not energy but the motivation to work on yet. Well, I've done a video, but I haven't had the motivation to edit it. But that's the kind of Nintendo I was talking about. And my day one N64 controller is right here. And a lot of people had thumbstick issues, and I totally get it, because these aren't the best style anyway. Nintendo wasn't thinking long term with these sticks. They weren't thinking about the wear, and you have plastic rubbing on plastic. But look, mine pops right back into place. Not everybody's does that. I get it, but these, for the most part, unless you were crazy Mario partying and you were doing this whole thing, which a lot of people did for certain mini games, they lasted pretty long. I mean, obviously mine still works. GameCube, I mean, those controllers are built like mini tanks. I mean, I can grab mine here. Man, this thing is solid, man. Solid. I've dropped this quite a few times already. And it's throughout its life. And you can see the little nicks on it, but it works perfectly fine. It's solid. Same thing with my Wii remotes. I've thought for sure the Wii remotes, how many times have people dropped those things and thrown them up against the wall? But they still keep working, man. But this thing here, got cracks. I had to replace the back shell because of the cracking, but it looks cooler now, so I'm cool with that. But this little back plate wasn't cheap. It was more than I wanted to spend for a little back plate, plastic back plate, but it looks cool. I know I'll no longer, when I'm doing handheld, use my Joy-Cons. For one, I don't want to put the wear on them. Two, they're not all that comfortable for long sessions. The way these things are lovely, perfect in every way. If only they had wireless, Joy-Con functionality, then I would totally put these other things away, except for like Ring Fit, which you need them. But this is great. These are great. This is like holding a full controller and then having a portable screen to play on. But yeah, it's disheartening because I had so much hope for the HD Rumble, and which is still cool. It's cool in the games that uses it, but I was hoping that Nintendo would do more with it, and they really haven't done a whole lot. So, let's see. I'll go from this way up. That way, people who commented later, I'll get to you. Other than GameCube having analog triggers, Justin Bozeman. And the analog triggers, which are great. Stop spamming juice. Oh. Wii U, says 12 feet tall. Wii U Pro Controller is the best controller that Nintendo ever made. Pro Controller is great. Where's mine? Right here. I actually use mine because my son won't give me back my Pro Controller for Switch. So I actually use this on Switch, which is awesome because this thing has an 80-hour battery. And, I can't remember the last time I charged it. It's great. And it works perfectly for Switch. Obviously doesn't have, what do you call it? It doesn't have gyro controls. That's the only thing. If it had gyro, man, whew. But yeah, so you just buy this little dongle here from 8-Bit Dough. or 8-bit do, however they say their name. And you can plug it in, sync it up, and works just like your Wii or Switch Pro controller. The Wii Pro controller does, and I love how it feels. I like having both of the analog sticks up here. I never understood that whole split analog stick thing. That I guess did Nintendo start that with the GameCube? But I guess Xbox was there too, so they also had the Xbox controller, original Xbox controller had a stick up here and a stick down here, all the way up until now. But I like having both sticks up here. It just makes more sense. It feels better. So yeah, kind of off topic, but remember when some people were trying to say that Xenoblade was a ground up remake, like that somehow made it seem closer to a new game? Defenders will do anything, it seems. Yeah, I mean, that was just silly. It was clearly not a ground up remake. Only people who would have looked at that and said, yeah, that's a ground up remake, are people who never played Xenoblade before. You had to have not played Xenoblade Chronicles before to look at that. And who cares? Like, it doesn't matter that it's not a ground up remake. It's still great that they, remastered it. The character models are remade to some extent, but you could just look at the game, and if you played Xenoblade hundreds of hours like I have, it wouldn't be hard to look at that and say, yeah, that's not a remake. It's a remaster with some nuance, and that's okay. Like, I don't understand why that was a defense. Why defend that? Like, it was strange. You're defending something that doesn't need a defense. Again, like, I guess like Juice was saying, it was a way to say, oh no, this is a new game, by saying it's a ground up remake. It's not a new game. That's fine. It's just so stupid that this is something that people have to like argue about, go back and forth about. Like, look, my hair is super flat. I don't get it. Let's see. What's up? It's me, Nintendo fanboy. Hey, Dark Flame 64. What's up? Xenoblade Chronicles X is still a gem that can't be copied on Switch. Yeah, I mean, sure, they could bring it over, but it's like Pikmin 3 to me. It's like you're losing way too much in my control capabilities for me to care. Like, I'm not going to care about Xenoblade Chronicles X on Switch because, where is it? Where did I put it? This is such a big part of that experience for me. A huge part. It was this. This is how I played it. I had this as my map and my Pro Controller together. This is phenomenal. And for Pikmin, I had this, for my map and certain, little gameplay things I wanted to do. And I had the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. Like, that is the definitive way to play Pikmin 3. To play any Pikmin game. If you can give me a screen, just drop move that over there. If you can give me a screen that I can look at for my map and plan out things, and then have the precision of being able to point and aim at my Pikmin, because that was one of the things I couldn't stand on first Pikmin game, was that it was like hard to call them back, and you weren't getting them all, and it was just a pain a lot of times for me. And it was just, a little disjointed. But the minute they gave the play control on Wii for Pikmin 1 and 2, oh, glorious. And then Pikmin 3, with all the control options, is great. Like, I don't want to play any other way. Not that game. If you come out with Pikmin 4 and it's only that way, then I have to live with that. But Pikmin 3, all the tens of hours I put into it, I liked, being able to play it like this, and to be able to tap my screen and check my, where I'm going and where I need to go, and, keep an eye on everything. It was great. So giving me Xenoblade Chronicles X on Switch does nothing for me. Now, if you haven't played it, great. I hate that you have to play it in what I would call a not so elegant way. I think it's less elegant to play it other than the way I played it. And I just remember some people spewing nonsense about, oh, I got to look down, I got to look up and down, I can't do it. And these people have like PCs with, you know, three with three monitors, and they're editing videos and they're watching TV and sports and all kinds of stuff, but they couldn't do this every once in a while. I mean, the amount of excuses that people made for this console in the negative way and in the positive way for the Switch is just, it's a joke, man. So it is what it is. And so for me, again, and my other 13 million or so brethren who all in on Switch or all in on Wii U. Look, I can't even distinguish them anymore. We're all in on Wii U. For us, you know, these games that may be, oh my God, to you, amazing to you, been there, done that. Like, and so even while, you know, those people can pretend and Nintendo can pretend that the Wii U didn't exist, well, I know it did. And I can't act like old games are, you know, exciting. So, you know. But I am enjoying Paper Mario Origami King. Haven't played it enough. I think I only have like 10 hours in it. And if you watch me play, that's why I don't play those types of games on streams, because it's just like, what is he doing? Why is he going there? What is he looking for? I explore my off. That's why I have like 270 hours in Xenoblade Chronicles X. And I spent probably the first 20 hours not accomplishing a whole lot, but just like running around and seeing the sights and running away from enemies that I was not ready for. But that's just kind of how I play. I like to explore the world in a game that has a world that's that big and interesting. So, yeah, so I you know, like I said, people can give the excuse of COVID for where Nintendo is right now. But I'm looking at other companies doing their thing, for the most part. As far as first party goes, Xbox hasn't done a lot. They've done a few things here and there, but they get all the third party games. They get 99% of them. So, and we get about 2% of them if we're lucky, as a Switch owner. So, and when we get them, you know, they're 6 months to a year later, and they're jank. You know, they have graphical issues, glitches, and whatnot, and they're full price. When I can get, you know, the better version for a third of that price at the time. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's like with Pikmin, it's like, I didn't really mention this. I think I was watching Arlo's video, and I think I touched it a little bit, but he really hammered it home, talking about how petty Nintendo was to remove Pikmin 3 from the Wii U eShop. And he broke it down pretty well. Better than I did at the time. I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't break it down the way he did. He was talking about how petty it was. And like, in the scheme of things, the amount of people out there that would see, oh, Pikmin 3 Deluxe is coming for Switch. Either I don't have a Switch, or I'm going to go get that game. I wanted to get the game, but I never got it on Switch or on Wii U. So I'm going to go get it now. The number of people that would actually do that is like probably less than 1% of people out there. Less than 1% of Switch owners even. Who would be like, oh yeah, let me go run now and get that Wii U digital version for $20. That would be a tiny percentage, because you're already talking about 13 million people, and then the game sold what Pikmin games sell, even on the Wii U. It sold 1 million copies. It sold I want to say 1 million too, which is typical, which is for that franchise. You could say you want it to do better, but I don't think it has to do with the audience that Pikmin doesn't do better. It's just the type of game doesn't resonate with a ton of people. It's a strategy game. It's cutesy, and it's a strategy game, so you're going to turn off a lot of people with that alone. So it's like, what percentage of people that would actually were going to go to the Wii U eShop and buy that game? Very tiny. And so it just says Nintendo was being very petty by taking it away from that tiny percentage of people who might have done it. Like, that was really going to hurt Nintendo's wallet to leave that game up there at $20. Was that really going to affect your sales for the Switch version? No. On the tiniest of tiniest margins. Like I said, less than 1%. It would have, and if you're that petty, that means your personality as a company has changed. If you're that petty to where you would take that, take it away, take that little, nibble it away from that small amount of people. It's super petty. And I'm glad I saw that video, because that's the best way to put it. It's so petty. At the end of the day, is it really going to hurt anybody? No. Like, it's not going to hurt me. I mean, I own the game. And I don't really care to play it on Switch because of the control methods that it doesn't have. So, but it rubs me the wrong way. Like I said, he said, like Arlo said, it's petty. And that's how I feel. It's just petty. You could have just left it alone. Nobody would care. Are you worried about people saying, oh, why isn't it $20 because the Wii U version is $20? Is that what the worry is? Because, again, less than the percentage of people would even say that. Nobody cared. Nobody would care. Well, I want to play, the quote-unquote better version on the go. I can imagine playing Pikmin on the little screen. Like, that's not a portable experience for me. Because I already had so much issues with it on a big screen and using analog sticks to aim at Pikmin. Or aim your Pikmin. So I can imagine looking at those little Pikmin on this screen here. Like, order me some new glasses right now. Like, that would bother me so much. So yeah, I know. I feel like the personality, and I talked about this before. I feel like the personality of Nintendo is changing. Again with the loss of Reggie, I have a bad feeling that wasn't a cordial, I'm ready to leave, I'm ready to retire thing. I mean, that's the PR thing that everybody says. I have a feeling that I just have this feeling because knowing Reggie's alpha male, if you will, he was a successful business guy way before he touched Nintendo, and he would go in and he would implement these things, and they would drive up the business, and it would work really well, and I'm sure that's still a part of his personality. He wanted to do that with Nintendo. He felt really good coming in and saying, "We're taking ass or we're taking or kicking ass and taking names." We're taking ass and kicking names. I feel like that's what he wanted to do. I feel like he wanted to come in and put his mark on Nintendo, and outside of being a character or a caricature, he didn't really get to do that. I feel like he probably clashed heads with, the Japanese side of things, the higher ups there. He's just supposed to be a PR guy, and that's not what he wanted to do. I feel like he wanted to make some changes. So I feel like once the Switch launched and none of his ideas. This is just me speculating. None of his ideas were being implemented. Like, because remember all that talk about accomplishments, coming to Switch, and your gameplay or how much you played games and bought them, with you be incentivized with all these perks and whatnot. There was a lot of talk around that, and none of that stuff came to fruition. And you can defend it as much as you want, but Nintendo Switch Online is trash. It's trash, and the NES and the SNES, it's a joke. That's all we got after all this time. We're in the 4th year of the Switch, and we got some NES and SNES games, and that's it. Like, that's super pathetic. And seeing what Nintendo was working on and building to, and with the Wii and Wii U, and to see the Switch and its eShop, is pathetic. I really feel like Reggie wanted to do some things, and he was told no, basically, and he stepped down. Because when you're an idea guy, when you're that kind of guy, that alpha male who wants to, shape things in your way, and you get told no, I'm sure that bothered him. And I don't even understand. I mean, I guess Nintendo of America is just, it's just a front. It's just a headquarters. It's not even where Sega of America and Sega of Japan were. They actually did their own thing a lot of times. A lot of stuff Sega of Japan had final say on, like console specs and deals as far as that goes. But Sega of America did a lot of stuff on their own, and they were a better company before. They whooped Nintendo's ass because of that. They outsold Nintendo in North America. People forget, because Sega of America had all these crazy ideas that scared those guys, like really going at Nintendo, with the Genesis Does commercials, and making fun of Mario, and they had remember that commercial where Mario was driving around in a little putt like milk truck. They had Mario on the back of Mario Kart, and then they had like Sonic splashing all over the screen. That was all Sega of America, because they had all these ideas, and they were like, this is how we're going to be aggressive, and we're going to do this and this and that, and it worked. And I think it made Sega of Japan envious. So where Sega of Japan could put their foot down, they did, and it just caused turmoil. And we know what became of Sega consoles. But I guess Nintendo won't have that problem because, like I said, Nintendo of America is just a front. Nintendo of whatever is just a front. Nintendo of what are their other offices? I don't think they call Nintendo of UK, do they? Nintendo UK. They're all just fronts. They're just PR and advertising fronts. Those guys don't have any power. All the decisions come from Nintendo of Japan. So I feel like it's going to come out someday in Reggie's memoir that's what happened. Nintendo of Europe. Thank you, 1GWX. Yeah, Nintendo of Europe. Thanks. So I don't know. And this new dude, what's his name? I can't even remember his name. I can remember a time where I didn't know the Nintendo president's name. I can't remember his name. Somebody tell me. I know Kurosawa was the interim, but I can't remember the current guy's name. And that's, kind of sad. Because even when they had a super businessman type of guy, we remembered his name, Yamauchi. Like, he was a personality still. And obviously Iwata was. Not Nintendo of America. I'm talking about the president of Nintendo, not Nintendo of America president. I remember Bowser only because it's Bowser, but no, not Doug Bowser. I'm talking about Nintendo of president of all of Nintendo. I can't remember his name. No, Kimishima was the interim. He's no longer the president. So you didn't even know. Haruhi, I remember that Kimishima was the interim. He's gone now. Somebody has to know. But yeah, man, it's just it's crazy. Let's see what Juice says. Juice dropped a lot of comments here. Oh, he's talking to 12 Feet Tall. The last game I bought for Switch was Hellblade in November for $12, just because I was curious how it looked in person, and I found out it looks bad. Says Juice. Pikmin 4 equals Half-Life 3. Says 12 Feet Tall. Define Nintendo games. I would define Nintendo games as first-party Nintendo IP. Because obviously Nintendo doesn't make every game. Nintendo internal, what are they? Nintendo EPD instead of EAD now. They don't make all their games. So I would define a Nintendo game as a game, not made by Ubisoft. I wouldn't define Mario plus Rabbids as a Nintendo game. It's different to me because it's a third-party, well-known third-party company. But stuff that Next Level does, Luigi's Mansion and stuff. Furukawa, thank you, Dark Flame 64. Shintaro Furukawa. Yeah, he's a young business guy, and I don't think he understands the history of Nintendo and the fan base or any of that stuff. And I feel like a lot of fans are just whatever, eating it because Nintendo's doing well. But what happens when they're not doing well anymore and you still have this same personality? It's gonna be too late. And that's what I'm hoping to avoid. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, but talk about it. But it drives me insane that people act like it's not a thing, because it totally is a thing. I don't want it to be this way. I said it a billion times. I would rather have old Nintendo. And then how much longer is Miyamoto going to be there? So, what I call the Triforce of Reggie, Iwata, and Miyamoto is already down to one shard. And after he's gone, it's going to be total shard. If you catch my joke. Let's see. Yamauchi-san dropped megatons. Iwata-san was awesome. I present that directly to you, says 1GWX. Off subject, EA is trash. Yes, I totally agree. EA is trash. The peak of me and EA is GameCube. I forget how many GameCube games that I own that are EA. But that was a different EA. Still similar in a lot of ways, but somewhat different. Nintendo will never fail, says always into something. I hope you're right. And then again, it's they're already failing for me. So it's what do you mean by fail? Because they've quote unquote failed with the Wii U, sales wise, but it's one of my favorite Nintendo consoles. They're winning with the Switch, but for me, they're failing with the games because they don't have a handheld to worry about. And so where are the games? And it's not just 2020. 2018 was a complete wash. I thought 2018 was going to be pretty solid. And the highlights of that year were Mario Tennis. Was that Ace's year? And Smash, which came out in December. I'm sure I'm missing something else in there, but not. I don't think so. So yeah, not all that great. Again, like I said, I wish that wasn't the case. hoping to see a return to more GameCube games, or GameCube era games, some sequels, to games from that era. That would be pretty short in the life cycle as far as the development cycle, but yet would totally please the hardcore Nintendo fan base. And outside of like Smash, which we always get Smash because Smash always does Smash sales, we didn't get a lot. We got Pikmin sequel on Wii U. Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game. Mario Odyssey is like the most Wii U of the Wii U game, or most Switch of the Switch games. Splatoon 2 is a sequel to the phenomenal Wii U game. And that's not taking anything from Splatoon 2 because it definitely improved. And obviously sequels come out on successive consoles all the time. It doesn't take anything away from those games. But I just meant like the Wii, like the that's Switch kind of game. Oh, that's a Switch game, the way you would look and say, Mario 3D World, that's a Wii U game, It's one of those definitive Wii U games. Not Paper Mario. Super Mario Maker, that's a Wii U game, very defined by the Wii U because of the gamepad and being able to draw on your screen, and you can do that on Switch too, but only in handheld, and it's not as intuitive, like because of the different capacitive versus resistive touchscreens. So like it's, I don't know, what can I say? What else can I say that I haven't said already? Let's see what you're saying. The Nintendo Switch does not have its own Zelda game yet, and does not have a Mario Kart game, Harui. Thanks for reminding me. I miss Super Mario Strikers. So do I. Dark Flame. Yeah, Nintendo needs to bolster all the problems with the current Switch. Messaging, for the love of all things technical, comes on DS, local chat, online in some games, improve online. Why are we? I hate the fact that we're still going through this. Like, I felt like the Wii U made some steps, was making some progress. It wasn't great. People complained then. I was totally right there with them, and we did the movements and for the fans' voices to be heard and all that stuff. And I was right there with all that. See, that's the thing. When people complained on Wii U about stuff that didn't affect me all that much personally, but I could understand, I jumped with them. I said, all right, you're right. These things are things that should happen at this point for Nintendo. We're 2 consoles away from the GameCube, which had a broadband adapter but they didn't do anything with, while everybody else was doing stuff online. So we need to get this together. Like, it's not, like I said, it wasn't as important for me, but I was like, yo, all these fans are complaining about something. It's a valid thing. Let's make it happen. Let's do something. Let's not, and that's what I did on the Wii U. On the console I defended the most. I didn't defend that stuff. I didn't defend that. And so we get to the Switch, and I'm like, yeah, especially after the Wii U, these things should be rectified. And instead of getting, people on my side, people that may not have as much problem with the stuff as I do, same way I didn't have much problem with the stuff on Wii U that other people did, yet I still supported their opinion. You have people that, want to cut your head off about it. about very solid, valid things that Nintendo consoles before this one was doing. And they make up all these weird arguments, all these semantic based arguments that have no logical merit just to defend Nintendo, who doesn't need defending. They're doing quite well. This is the time where you can, get more stuff when they know it. Like, it took a damn lawsuit for them to do anything about the Joy-Cons. And it's still not enough, because it's only in certain areas where you can get them replaced for free. And this is a design flaw. This is a well-known documented design flaw. So they should do something about it. One, make, sticks that don't do what these do. You've done that before. It's going to cost you a little more money, but it's better to the consumer, and long-term, adulation. I don't know, long-term support. Because if you keep doing these types of things, you're going to chip away, and people are going to get upset. And some of that spills over into your partner mini directs. Like that, some of that anger and vitriol and just being tired of you guys doing nothing, spills over into something that might be innocent. People may not even, if you were doing all these other things, people wouldn't care about this stuff. It's like Metroid Prime Federation Force. That wasn't a bad game. It was an okay game. The reason it got so much hate and dislikes is because you hadn't given us anything on Metroid in a century. And fans were like, really? You're going to put this out and call it Prime? Meanwhile, not caring about, the mainline stuff? You're tone deaf. And so people attack that trailer when they wouldn't have before had there been a mainline Metroid game out in the past 10 years. And you can say that's entitled because you can't make them make a game, which is true. Metroid games sold so less and less each version that came out, each iteration. So business-wise, you can be like, oh, okay, I understand why they're not making a Metroid. So that would be, that you can put that on the entitled spectrum if you want. But this is, we're talking about features that your previous console had. We're talking about your game output that drastically went down from when you had less resources. These things are easy to see. Unless you're walking around like this, like a lot of Nintendo fans are doing, with their fingers in their ear, see nothing and hear nothing, and they're playing sales. They're playing the sales game because that's fun. You use a controller for that, the sales game? Because I had never played it before. I don't care to play it. Some of my favorite consoles don't have the sales. Two of my all-time favorite consoles sold less than Wii U install base by millions. So, doesn't matter to me. Those systems had games, though, for most of their life, their short lives. So, I don't know, man. It's a new kind of fan out there that I see them all the time. It's not just Nintendo fan either. I see them all the time where they think they're going to end up being friends of the developers or be friends of the company if they go out and shame themselves by making excuses for dumb practices. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Can you guys help me? Help me understand this? Because I don't get it. Okay, the Switch is the handheld, says Harui. So where's the console? Again, Nintendo has always had a handheld and a console at the same time, and they put a bunch of games out on them for decades. So if you're just catering to a handheld, you should put out even more games than you would, because you don't have to deal with your console. It's a joke, a bad one, and I just don't understand. Miyamoto is already left, says Harui. I mean, I guess he's only been kind of like an advisor. You know, he's given ideas and stuff, but he hasn't been. Well, the last game he actually, like, physically was there for and designed, you know, from pillar to post was Super Mario 64. After that, he was kind of a creative consultant. And even Mario 64, a lot of the ideas in that game came from Koizumi. Koizumi doesn't get nearly the credit, especially when it comes to the Mario series, after, I guess, was he there for Mario World? I think he was there for Super Mario World. But mainly like Yoshi's Island and forward, Koizumi had so many freaking smart ideas. I can't even think of them right now, that were implemented. And, you know, he's up there. Hopefully they don't give him an executive job. Keep him on the creative stuff. Now put him back in the directs. Well, when we get a direct, because we haven't had one in a year. A year, folks. It's been a damn year since we had a full direct. And that's different. We've had directs since, 2011? We've had directs on 3DS. We had the Nintendo 3DS 3D show or whatever with Jesse Cantrell. So we had all this stuff on consoles that initially, especially with the 3DS, didn't sell well initially. You know, the Wii U went on to still not sell well, but it just seemed like there was more effort. You know, yeah, the resources were, you know, especially because the economy was in trouble a bit. And that caused, you know, pay cuts and stuff. But they kept everybody. They didn't fire people. That was noble. And it feels different for me as a Nintendo fan who's been one for decades. You know. Now, I guess technically, 35 years. I mean, that's a long time. And I don't want somebody who's been playing the Nintendo console for 5 years to tell me anything. Get out of my face. You don't know enough to teach me about anything. You know? I'm not gonna... I would never walk into a church and tell the pastor who's been doing it for, 35, 40 years, I can do it better than you. I know better. No. I wouldn't do that. And same thing for me. It's like, I know way too much about this company. I bought the Bible of this company, the book on this company. That's how much I was into it. I've forgotten stuff that a lot of these people will never remember. I've forgotten more things about Nintendo than these dudes who try to tell me something would never remember or ever learn about them. So it's a rough year, man. Like I said, I can't wait until it's over. Hopefully 2021. And it's funny because I always thought 2020 would be a good year. It just sounds like, 2020 is going to be good. It's going to be a solid year. Just has a good sounding, We've lost recently Chadwick, on the, celebrity side. Black Panther was iconic, and a lot of people try to downplay it, and that also, I mean, you're just an asshole. Like, you try to downplay what Black Panther meant to a lot of black kids, just a lot of kids in general, but black kids, because we hadn't seen a superhero on screen with that kind of money behind them and that kind of reach that looked like us. So that was, it's iconic. Like, for the movie, I didn't think it was that, great. I didn't think it was Oscar-worthy movie. I think that got caught up in politics or whatnot, and I can admit that. But I also know that my little nieces and nephews love Suri and love Black Panther, and they do the Wakanda Forever. They do all that stuff, and they have a passion for that character, the way that I have for Superman. Even though he didn't look like me, I'm still a huge Superman fan. But to see them with a Superman type of character that looked like them, he's a good guy. He's not a half vampire. He's not a half demon like Spawn. He's not a half vampire like Blade. And not to take anything away from those guys, but I'm talking about like a true blue good guy, a king. That was, it was very cool for a lot of people, and I hate to see people try to knock that down like it doesn't mean anything, or to try to bring up, like I said, Blade, and they're not on the same level as Black Panther. Like, none of those, they didn't make nearly as much. They weren't the cultural. They didn't have the cultural impact. I love those movies in different ways and for different reasons. I won't say I love Spawn because I love the character of Spawn. I love the comic, but the movie was terrible. The animated show on HBO was awesome. That's why I was excited for a movie, but it was terrible. But that just, it sucks that he's gone. And know that he was like working while he was sick, and he knew he was sick, and still taking on all these roles. That's something else, man. That's next level. But yeah, rest in peace, Mr. Boseman. Rest in power. Or Mr. B. Somebody would say Mr. Chadwick B. Name Chadwick Boseman. It's not hard to say. Sucks. Finally got one. Finally got that guy, and he's gone from us. But anyway, 12 Feet Tall says F Paper Mario, the Origami King. Miyamoto had no input on Origami King. No, he did not. My Nintendo Switch does not feel like a console anymore, says 12 Feet Tall. The Wii U failed. The console is dead, says Harui. No, it's still alive because the Switch is getting its games. That keeps it alive. Fanboys are rarely intelligent, says Harui. Just gonna mention this again. Metroid Star Fox F-Zero crossover cha-ching, says Dark Flame 64. Joy-Con ash hands? What? Harui, tone deaf excuse for entitled fans' behavior. People don't understand Nintendo. I hate Joy-Cons for passion. Blah. This is 12 feet tall. 12 feet is going off. Imagine if Breath of the Wild was canceled on Wii U. Will Halo Infinite be canceled on Xbox One? Again, Halo Infinite is not Breath of the Wild. Halo Infinite to the Xbox Series X is not what Breath of the Wild was to Wii U or Switch. It's it's their big title, but that's where it ends. It's not a groundbreaking game the way Breath of the Wild is or was. It's not that. So I get that. Oh, it's their big game, or it's supposed to be their big game for the new console. I get that comparison, but there's more to that argument. Because I feel like they needed something other than Halo to be like, yeah, Series X. Halo is so played at this point. Like that wasn't going to be an impactful game. Halo fans are going to buy Halo. They like it. You're not. Maybe you would get some people to buy Halo that didn't care about it. If you really had these crazy, oh my god, mind melting visuals, because gamers today are that petty. That would be enough for them to fall for something. I see gamers falling for the Avengers game because it looks pretty. It's shallow as hell. So I don't know. I don't get fools. I don't get fools these days. These gamers today, I tell you, I'm a grandpa gamer. GameCube only did what? Phantasy Star Online with the broadband adapter. Man, so long ago now. Those days, memories flood back. Love the cube. Says 1GWX. Yeah, that's all it did. Phantasy Star Online. The 2 Phantasy Star Online games it got. That's all it did. So they put that research. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot of research and development into the broadband adapter, and Nintendo themselves didn't even use it. How pathetic! Like, I mean, they use it for like LAN. So that was cool, like Mario Kart and stuff. LAN. Smash as well, right? But they didn't use it for what the broadband adapter was for, which is online play. So, and it's so strange because they had a console. They had 2 consoles before that. Obviously, the Super Nintendo was a little different as far as what the online capabilities were. But the N64 had an add-on that had online. The 64DD only came out in Japan, and they were doing stuff like letting you download stuff for your games, extras, letting you download people's tracks to play in F-Zero. There was a lot of cool stuff. You could browse using, was it RadNet? RADNET. So there was a lot of cool stuff that it did, and to see them just like go further and further away from what they were starting to build. But again, Nintendo, like I said, they start over. For whatever reason, they just kind of start over every generation, and I don't know why. But yeah, 2020, man. 2020. Let's see, what are we on? Oh, we're only an hour and a half in, and I'm ready to bounce. Let's see. I'll let you guys have some questions. I'm gonna get on out of here. Because like I said, I'm ready for 2020 to be over, and I want to get to some fun stuff. So now that I've pretty much have to give up on what is it called? Up on Streamlabs OBS. Oh yeah, Kobe Bryant. How could I forget? Like I came out. We were watching. What were we watching? Oh my God, we were watching a movie. Oh, we had a good time. Oh yeah, we were watching Bad Boys for Life. That Sunday, me and the family came out, and everybody was on their phones. Like, what's going on? And my I didn't notice at the time, but my homie sent me a text saying, "Oh man, no, not Kobe." And I'm like, "What? What did Kobe do now? Like, what did he do now?" He died. That's what he did, and such a tragic way. Because we remember Kobe, but his daughter Gianna and 7 other people, family with kids, coach, like, they're going to be forgotten about that accident by most people other than like family and friends of them. And that was just tragic all around, awful. Because it's one thing, like I said, for Kobe to perish, but because that's what I thought. Initially, I thought, oh, he was probably making some business rounds or something. He was in his copter, making some business rounds, and on a Sunday, because that dude was, he was a machine, and I was excited to see what he was gonna do. He had won an Oscar. He made for a documentary. He won an Oscar. Here's a guy who won 5 NBA championships, and that would be great for a lot of people's career, and they'd be done. But he had a whole nother career he was about to start, and I was really excited for that because it's in my field, which is filmmaking, and he's a smart dude, and just to see, I wanted to see what he was going to do, and he's gone. But it wasn't just a business thing. It wasn't a business thing at all. Because once the information started coming in, found out, it was there was a game, and they were going to a game, and there was a bunch of people. And I guess, this is going to age me, but the only other, there's 2 other tragic incidents like that that I remember that really hit me in the gut. And I'm some fan, I'm not the family or friends. But there was 2 other things. One before that. Well, 3 other things, because I'm adding these things together. So there was Aaliyah, the singer Aaliyah, died in a plane crash coming back from Jamaica or the Bahamas. Can't remember exactly. I think it was Bahamas. For shooting that video. I remember the video rocked the boat. Video wasn't worth her dying over. But I remember that just punched me in the gut because I was a huge Uber fan of Aaliyah. I'm going to marry her. We're the same age. And, back then I was doing my music thing. And I'm like, I'm going to meet her. And we're going to get married. And we're going to be like the super couple. So that hit me in the gut. And then, 2 weeks after that, we're about to hit the anniversary of it. 9/11 happened. So it felt like the world was falling apart then. I was like, what else is going to happen? So 9/11 happened, and then like the whole anthrax thing, it just seemed like the world was ending. We were like, 1999 wasn't the actual year. It's 2001. We just missed it by a couple of years. It was about to be over. And then before that, as a kid, the Challenger, I guess you could say Oklahoma City bombing. There was some crazy stuff. There was, it didn't hit me as hard, but it was still tragic as hell. Columbine, Oklahoma City. I was a little too young to be really paying attention, but like Waco, and then the Challenger. So there's more than I can remember, or more than I thought I'd remember. But the Challenger was a tough one because we were in school and we're watching it. We're like, there's a school teacher aboard. She's an astronaut. She's going up with the astronaut. It's gonna be awesome. So we're sitting there watching it, and then kaboom! And you're like, was that supposed to happen? Like, we had no idea. And the teacher just kind of looked at us and like had this look on her face. And she just turned the TV off. And we just kind of moved on, and we knew something wasn't right. And then later they counseled us. They talked to us and counseled us because we had saw, people die. Like, it's not what you're supposed to see in school, especially. So, but, we're talking about almost 200,000 people now that are gone this year. Sure, we talk about these celebrities and stuff, and they're not any less important. They're not more important, but they're not any less important than the average people that are dying. And it's just been a year, and it's still going, and just ready for it to be over. But tomorrow, my plan is to stream, since I've got confidence back in the stream going here. So I'm just going to use OBS from now on and not touch Streamlabs anymore, which I hate, because I like the cool templates. And maybe at some point, if I can figure out what the problem is, because I've tried to like download older versions and newer versions, and nothing works. The only thing that's working is this old version of OBS, which I'll work with. That's fine. So I'll make another template for podcasts like this, and then I'll make I already have templates for the other stuff, like watch this. And we're back. And you'll see the ending one. You already saw the starting one. So there's that one as well. And, I'm looking at like the preview window for YouTube and the preview window on OBS. And I'm not seeing any stuttering like I usually see with Streamlabs. So I'm just going to have to rock with this. That's fine. But yeah. Happy thoughts. Even SNES has internet capabilities. Yep. They had that Love Hotel stuff. The Genesis had Sega TV. Let you rent games. Selena. Oh, Dark Flame 64. You're right. I don't know how I forgot Selena. That was super tragic. I think I'm thinking of the other ones because other people died around them as well. Where Selena, it was just her, but that was awful. She was the next big thing, and the person that did it to her and the excuses, and she was just a terrible person. Awful person. And that beautiful, young, innocent girl had her whole life ahead of her. She'd still be doing her thing right now because she was just that type of performer. She was that passionate, and she'd be around doing her thing right now. She might even be younger than me. Let me see. No, I think she was a couple years older. She'd still be doing her thing. I'm young still. So, but yeah, I was thinking about like Aaliyah and stuff, because it wasn't just Aaliyah. It was, how many people were on that plane? 10. Including the pilot. That was tragic, Obviously 9/11 was 3,000 people. Columbine was how many kids? Oh gosh, if I remember Columbine, I'm going to forget Newtown. That was the worst. Babies. I just thought about my babies and I clenched them tight, and I was like, I don't know what I would do with myself. That was something I had to deal with. I wouldn't make it. Me and my wife talked about it. It's like, we're done. Like, we'd be emotionally finished. So I don't know how those people, and then to have them after that happen, have this freaking wingnut say that they were actors and it was all a hoax and it didn't happen, and then to have them tortured and terrorized by fans of those wingnut idiots was just even worse. It's like pouring salt in the wounds. So the same exact thing happened in my classroom when the Challenger exploded, says Visor Grunt. So you an old dude like me. Yeah, they just turned the TV off. I think that happened in a lot of classrooms. The teachers just like turn the TV off. Yep, yeah, you got it, Harui. That's exactly what I was talking about. He's an awful individual. And unfortunately, a lot of times awful people get rewarded for being awful. Sadly. Yeah, I didn't even watch Gamescom. I just saw little highlights, if you will. I knew there wasn't going to be much there. You don't save big stuff for Gamescom. Maybe there was a time that happened. I don't remember it, but Chaotic says, I hope Nintendo can at least make one single DLC character for the rest of this year. I'm sure. Well, I won't say I'm sure, but I'm guessing they probably will at least pull that off. SNES had Satellaview, yeah. Harui, I'm buying a PS5 when Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Part 2, or Persona 6 is releasing on PS5. Okay. Satnet on the N64 with the DD says 1GWX. So what was Radnet? I'm mixing up my nets. 12 feet tall. I'll stick with what I have now and then just focus on retro games. Same here, 12 feet. I'm done buying new games this year. I'm gonna buy a new console if it comes out. That's still kind of up in the air. But new games. Well, I'm gonna get at least new games for a Nintendo console. I'm gonna get what's it called? Help me out. Cyberpunk. I'm gonna get Cyberpunk. That's for sure. Ruler 2. Missed you, man. And I guess he's talking to somebody else anyway. Love the Yo MTV rap shirt. Bring me back to better days. Yeah, man. MTV is depressing as hell too. It was so good back in the day. But yeah, I know things change, time change, internet and all that. Internet ruined a lot of stuff. It brought us a lot of cool stuff, but it also ruined a lot of stuff. Blockbuster. But MTV is a travesty. It's MTV in name only. The M doesn't stand for music anymore. It's so sad. So sad. Wow, I'm getting spammed with garbage. What is the thing about getting, like, nobody even looks at comments. Maybe they just expect you won't look at it going back, and their little adult ad will stay there. But yeah, no, get rid of that crap. Yeah, let me see what you guys got, and I'm getting on out of here. I hope Nintendo can. Oh, I read that already. What are you drinking? Looks like moonshine. No, it's just purple stuff. It's a grape drink. It's punch. Didn't video kill the radio star? First play on MTV? Yeah, it did, Harui. It's so funny that video supposedly killed the radio star, which it didn't. That was a worry. Great song though. And then the next thing to kill, or the next worry was what was it? Reality killing, solid television programming. I was really worried about that for a long time because a lot of these companies were diving into reality shows because they were making a lot of money. They're simple, easy to produce, and they get a lot of people watching them. They're still around, but we still get a lot of great television, thank God. That was actually the very first MTV video. Yeah, it was. Video killed the radio star. And, people, when new things come out, people get anxious and worry. But everybody was right about the internet to be anxious and worried because the internet killed so much stuff. Killed journalism. Obviously, it killed a lot of brick and mortar stores, like Blockbuster and is Barnes and Noble even around anymore? Like, do people buy books at a bookstore in that capacity we used to? Music stores, Sam Goody, and I used to go to music stores all the time and dig through CDs, or tapes. I used to love my cassette tapes back in the day. I had the purple tape from Wu-Tang. You know what that? Who knows what that is? Who knows what the purple tape is? Where you at, Visor? I'm not gonna say what it is. What's that purple tape from the Wu-Tang? Borders crashed, says Arui. With my old hip hop heads. Who knows what the purple tape is? From Wu-Tang. Yeah, Kool-Aid. Barnes and Noble, Books A Million. So it's chaotic. Nah, you were right, T. I meant the Satellaview online service, not Satnet. Radnet is correct. Okay. I thought that was right. Because I was a Uber N64 DD fanatic. Like, I was waiting on with bated breath. Is that the saying for that console? I would read every little article, every little snippet about that thing because I wanted it so bad. And I was heartbroken. I still am to this day that it didn't come out over here, which is messed up because they did actually have a North American prototype. I've seen one in existence, and Metal Jesus Rocks has it because he has everything. But he has the USA version, which doesn't play anything because they never made any games for the USA version. So they had a nobody's answering my purple tape. Oh, here we go. Dark Flame 64 says Beatles had the white tape. No, you're talking about the White Album. It was called the White Album. I'm saying just the tape itself was purple. Whose album was that? If you remember, if you were old hip hop head, the tape, it was purple in color. Like it was like a clear, it was like atomic purple. Where's my, here it is. It looked like this. It maybe it was a little darker, but you could see through it, and it was purple. And a certain member of Wu-Tang came out with that, and it was one of my favorite Wu-Tang albums. NWA. I just said it was Wu-Tang, Ruler 2. Rob. It's a Wu-Tang member's album. It's his first album, solo album. Why was it purple? I don't know, because it looked cool. I have no idea why it was purple, but I remember just liking it because it, you never seen a purple tape before. Method Man, no, good guess. Dark Flame, good guess. Oh wait, it was a Wu-Tang. Yeah. ODB, nope. You're getting warmer though. Getting warmer. Not ODB. There's only, 100 of those guys. Yeah, you're going to get to them eventually. It was called the Purple Tape. No, it wasn't called the Purple Tape. The tape was just purple, and people referred to it as a purple tape because it was the only one. Redman was not a member of Wu-Tang. Him and Method Man used to rap together a lot, but yes, Dark Flame 64 got it. Raekwon the Chef. Only Built for Cuban Links is the name of the album, if I remember correctly. Only Built for Cuban Links. And it had some bangers on there. Ice Cream. My gosh. Was it chess boxing? The art of chess boxing? Was that on that? No, that was Genius. See, I'm getting it mixed up too. That was Jizza. But I know I love that album. It was great. And on that album they called out Biggie. They called out Biggie because if you knew, Notorious Big and Raekwon, not all Wu-Tang, but Raekwon, Ghostface did not like Biggie, and so they called him out on the album, and that kind of sparked the, because Nas was cool with the Wu-Tang. Nas had a song on there. I can't remember the name of the song, but that beat was disgusting. Nas had a song on there, and so he was cool with those two guys from Wu-Tang, and so Biggie took it as, oh, you're dissing me through them basically because you're cool with them and they're trying to diss me about something. And so Biggie made that song Kick in the Door, which was a diss to Nas. A lot of people don't know that, but Kick in the Door, wave in the 4-4, all you heard was Papa Don't Hit Me No More. That was a diss to Nas and a few other people. But so yeah, I had the original album 36 Chambers. Woo, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Master Yoshi, I gotta work soon. I wish I could stay home and play on my Hindendu. That Hindendu, man. The Jizza and RZA all coming back now. Oh man, Genius's album was great too. What was it called? Liquid Swords. Oh, that was a good album. That is a good album. Yeah, good music came out of Beefs, Dark Flame. That is true. And back then, it was all subliminal. Well, it wasn't all, but most of it was subliminal. You didn't really say the person's name, but you kind of knew you were talking about them or whatever. It wasn't until probably Pac and Biggie where they started like saying names. But like subliminal disses were like a thing of the 90s. That was like just a thing. And so you would subliminally diss back, and people had to figure it out. It was kind of cool. It was like a puzzle. It was like, oh, is he dissing this person or that person? But I remember like DJ Quick and MC8 had a beef. DJ Quick clearly won that with Dollars and Cents. I can go on and on about hip hop, but yeah, 90s hip hop was stewed to perfection. It was great. Ruler 2, bringing me back to 90s rap T. I love that era. Hard for me to get into much nowadays. Same here, bro. It's like, I don't like the rhyme scheme of a lot of these guys, the flow, how they rap. Their tempo on the beat, I could talk about that for hours too, but we used to listen to NWA tape in secret because we all had to hide from the swearing and the Yep. Same here. I had my little Sony Walkman. Was it a Sony? Yeah. And I love that thing because it had like, you could slow stuff down, you could speed it up, you can record. So I would take it to school and record, use it to record stuff as well, like for notes and stuff, because I was that kind of a nerd. Um, but I used to have a super long, hour-long bus ride because we got bused way out to go to school. It was way from our neighborhood, and so it was like an hour bus ride. So I would be jamming in the morning, and it had a speaker, so I could let everybody else on the bus listen, and so that's what we did in the back, because that's where the cool kids were. Public Enemy was great, yeah. Even the cheesier stuff like LL Cool J and Coolio. I love LL Cool J. Like, he put out the cheesier tracks for the radio, but his albums were solid. Like, his albums were always solid, had solid tracks on them. But he wanted the radio play as well, so he put like the more, like, I don't know, female centric songs out there as the singles. So, and that's what I've been doing actually. Not on the not hip hop side, but on the rock side. Like I've been like downloading a lot of like alternative rock and grunge. I was a huge fan of grunge and alternative rock, alt rock in the 90s. So I don't know. I guess I'm having a midlife crisis. I'm driving a 20-year-old Camaro and and listening to music I used to listen to 25 years ago. So LL Cool J is hard as hell. Jonathan Reed. Grunge. Yeah, I love grunge. One of my favorite bands. They're not really. I mean, they're more alt than they are grunge, but they had grunge stuff. Is Smashing Pumpkins, but Nirvana, 9 Inch Nails. Like, I love that stuff, man. 2000s rock, early 2000s, like I fell off probably mid 2000, but I love punk. I love listening to punk. I listen to stuff that you'd be surprised, probably. Linkin Park, Hoobastank, yeah. What were those cats? Oh my gosh, what was their names? I was listening to Bittersweet Symphony like crazy the other day. Just back to back. Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana, all great. Yep. I know Rob knows. Green Day. Thank you, Harui. Yes. Green Day. What was that other band though? There was another band I'm thinking of too. Yeah, old Green Day. Do I like Bizarre? No, I don't know Bizarre. I'm pretty sure. Like, I know that song, How Bizarre. I love that song. Ooh, baby. Oh, I can't sing it. They'll cut me off. YouTube will drop me. My Chemical Romance. Yes. So I've just been like downloading a lot of that stuff. I had a lot of it, but I can't, on hard drives that I've lost over the years. So I've lost a lot of stuff. But I would say 5 years ago, I was on a super 80s kick, and now I'm back on my 90s right now. Fall Out Boy, Foo Fighters, you guys know what's up. Offspring, yeah. I mean, I listen to a lot of stuff. I listen to everything. I love classical music too. I love like, I guess 50s rock as well. Certain stuff, Chuck Berry. I love Ray Charles. Reminds me of my dad. He's from Georgia, so Georgia was one of his favorite songs. I won't say I got into too much of the metal. I do like Metallica. I have a few albums. Um, there's certain bands. Um, I just never really got into metal. Uh, but there's a lot of it I like though. But I just never got into it the way I got into like alt rock, grunge, hip hop, R&B. We mentioned R&B. R&B was great in the '90s. Beautiful. It sucks now. I don't like it anymore. It's too computerized. There was one guy that had a computer voice. Now everybody has one. Um, oh yeah, Days Go By. Yeah, Chaotix. Yeah, great song. It's an acquired taste. Yeah, I mean, I've been to Metallica concerts. I never got into it. I don't dislike it. It never clicked for me the way other music has. Computer Love, Computer Love. Oh, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Make sure I'm still on. Boys to Men. 112. Tony Braxton, early Tony. That album for the Boomerang soundtrack, that movie Boomerang, from Eddie Murphy and uh, Robin Givens, and he played an ad exec. Love that movie. A lot of people don't talk about that one. They talk about all his other comedies, but they never talk about uh, Boomerang. Um, that soundtrack, I used to play that soundtrack going to school in the morning. It's a great soundtrack. I love some soundtracks too. Um, one of my favorite soundtracks of all time is The Crow. It's one of the reasons I love the movie so much, because the soundtrack is so awesome. Um, it's a perfect soundtrack. It's perfect. Not a lot of movies have a perfect soundtrack, but that one does. Boomerang has a perfect soundtrack. The Crow has a perfect soundtrack. I would say The Matrix almost has one. Um, yeah, I could talk about music as much as I can talk about video games, if not more. Definitely a love passion of mine, and I'm talking about all kinds. Some people they only stick to certain genres or certain. Not me. I like to listen to everything. One of my favorite bands of all time is The Police. Which is kind of rough these days. I love The Police. What? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, uh, love The Police because I love the fact, because I'm Jamaican. If a lot of you guys don't know, my dad, my biological father, is from Jamaica, and a lot of the Police songs incorporated the reggae sound. Reggae was huge, like in the late '70s, especially in the UK, because you had the migration of there's Rastafarians in UK, and so you had that influence, and I just thought it was so cool that these four British white dudes were playing like reggae music, but they were incorporating rock, and it's just great. And it's funny, I surprised so many people with that. They don't really realize. Can I solve a Rubik's Cube? No doubt. No doubt I can solve a Rubik's Cube. I used to love Rubik's Cube in the 80s. R. Kelly ruined. Oh, man. For so long, man. I loved R. Kelly music. I loved it. I thought he was a dope artist. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to act like I didn't like him. But that's before we knew he was a total creep. And I can't listen anymore. That's what I really hate. I hate the fact that I can't even listen to songs he produced without feeling icky. Like he did Janet Jackson, Anytime, Any Place. I love that song. Janet Jackson, she don't get enough respect. I think her albums, her discography is just as good as her brother Michael. Like she don't get nearly the respect she should get. But anytime, any day, or anytime, any place, anytime, any place. Oh my God! But R. Kelly produced that, and I'm like, you can tell that '90s R. Kelly sound, and it's like he's not in the song at all. He doesn't sing, but I know his sound. He got burn, 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 wow, wow. He used to have that certain kind of sound to his tracks, and I'm just like, oh man. Yeah, and it's crazy to say, right, Jonathan, that Janet is underrated, but she totally is, because her brother is Michael, like, she's totally underrated. She was great. Phenomenal. I had a bit of a crush on her growing up, but that's not had nothing to do with her music. Her music was just great. I school my daughter to that stuff, like, and she loves it. She asks me questions all the time, like. Funny how time flies. It's timeless. Yeah, good money. Sega did a few songs for Sonic 3. Oh, and like, yeah, the stuff, that's what's cool. You want to incorporate it to video games. Stuart Copeland, he did music for Spyro. And Stuart was my God, am I going to forget what he was? Was he the drummer for the Police? And he did music for the Spyro games on PlayStation. And then you had like David Bowie, who did music for Omicron, the Nomad Soul for Dreamcast. I love that game. It was the first Quantic Dream game. Quantic Dream, those guys who make walking simulators now. But yeah, that's why I like Spyro, because, my boy Stewart is up in there doing his thing. And that was, that was a weird thing to do. Nowadays, it's no big deal. But it was like, oh, musicians making music for video games, like that was not the thing. Before that was like Tommy Tallarico, which he's good at music in his games, but he wasn't a musician, a traditional musician. Yes, Copeland. Yeah, that's right. Copeland was the former drummer of the Police. Yeah, he was. He did music. He produced music for the Spyro games. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure about that. But yeah, I love the Police. I went to their comeback out. What do you call it? Not comeback. Reunion, early 2000s, and love it. Love the Police. Legend of Zelda, Koji Kondo. Oh, Koji Kondo. He's my favorite video game music. I mean, I know, like, I hum all his tracks. They're so memorable, from the original Zelda to, did he do any tracks for Odyssey? But Mario 64, I was in love with that soundtrack, still am. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I mean, Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword, the Symphony. Man, that was phenomenal. He's the John Williams of gaming, says Rob. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Kind of like wrestlers being in movies. Movie stars was weird. Now it's common. Yeah. it was like Hulk Hogan, and that was it, mostly. Then you had like this weird era where football players or former football players were becoming or trying to be like action movie stars, like Brian Bosworth, Stone Cold, and who else? Brian Bosworth was one, and then Oh, then he had a boxer trying to be in movies. What was that boxer that was in Rocky Five? I can't remember his name. Um, it was weird to see athletes like Michael Jordan in Space Jam. It's like, what are you guys doing? You could, this is terrible. The acting, the movie. I love the movie, but the looking at looking at athletes trying to act was just, oh my gosh. And then Shaq came along, and Shaq could rap though. I did like his albums. Before, what's his name? Dame Dollar. What's his name? What's his? I can't remember. I can't even remember his real name. From Portland Trailblazers. He's the best rapper, athlete ever. There's not that many to point at, but Kobe tried. But Shaq had some good stuff. People were playing Shaq tracks in the streets back in the day. So I'm outstanding. That was a good show. That was a good song. I know I got skills, man. I know I got skills. That was a good song. I am Sam, Shaq. Yeah, Shaq was. His movies were awful. I almost said Shazam. Kazam. Oh my gosh, that was so bad. And the try to be a musical and the rapping in that was so terrible. Good God. But I liked his music. I liked his albums. Shaq was a platinum selling artist, if I'm not mistaken. He at least went gold, which is pretty big in those days. 500,000 copies was big. I mean, we can go on and on. Like Queen. I mean, come on. So many great tracks. That voice, untouchable, unmatched. But Shaq Fu made it all worth it. Please stop. Please tell me you don't like Shaq Fu, Rob. Please. The new Shaq Fu game is decent. But, oh my God, Shaq Fu from, what was it, 94, 95? That game was terrible. Oh, okay, you're just messing around. Okay, because that game is awful. You're always going to find somebody who likes it, though. There's always going to be somebody who likes it. And that's fine, because there's terrible games in my past that I like, too. Like Terminator 2 Judgment Day for the Super Nintendo. I like that game. It's terrible. The controls are awful. To like run or move fast, you kind of got to do this hunch jump thing throughout the levels. So if you ever see like somebody trying to play the game, you'll see them do that hunch jump thing. It's awful. But for whatever reason, it compelled me, and I played it, and it was awful. Especially because you go through the levels, but then you have like these drive-in segments in between because you got to get to the next. But I like the fact that it catered to the movie that much to where it sequentially went. They added some stuff in to pad it out, but you sequentially went through the movie. You went to locations from the movie, and I loved that because I was, I still am a huge fan of Terminator 2. But that game's awful. Like the controls are awful. But because I love Terminator 2 so much, and I love the fact that the game followed the movie so closely. But those little driving segments, it was like a top down, and it was like tank controls. So forward meant, or up always meant forward. So when you went to turn, like say you were going diagonally like this, and you want to turn that way. You want to turn, you're going to be basically going down. So you would logically think in your head, oh, I hit the down button. No, you hit right because you're making a right, even though it's is so jank. But what you had to do, because you don't know where to go. I think there was like, is there arrows or something? There's arrows that tell you when to turn and stuff, but you don't know where you're going. And they can tell you to turn too early. And it was just awful. But I would map it. So I'd get further and further through every one of those little driving segments between the levels. And I just map myself. What's the best way to go? So I would learn by mapping it and just getting better and better until eventually I could beat that game in like 30 minutes now. It's not a long game, but you die a lot because of the bad controls. But I played it so much I mastered the damn game. I know where everything is. I run right to it. And if I wasn't doing a glitch speed run, like a lot of people do these glitchy ass speed runs, I would probably be a top contender for speed running that game. But I don't think anybody cares to speed run that game. I'm sure there's always, again, like I said, there's always some group somewhere who likes something that's terrible. Turtles. I wonder if I sing. I don't know. I'll probably get copyright striked and struck down if I sing the theme song. I still know the theme song front to back for the '90s Turtles. Teenage Mutant. I know the whole thing. Still, there's a lot of stuff like that I just know. Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, all those Disney cartoons that were dope, like DuckTales. I still remember the theme song. A lot of those 90s cartoons. That's another thing I miss about the 90s. There was so much good in the 90s, you youngsters. The cartoons were, they weren't as good as the 80s, but they had their own thing going. They had their own flavor. And they were so good. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventures as beyond compare. They are the gummy bears, Rob. I still know all those Disney cartoons. And it's insane. I love the gummy bears. I hated waking up on a Saturday morning too late and I missed it. It would just ruin my whole weekend. And I hated that. Disney afternoons were phenomenal. Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers was probably my favorite. And it's so weird because Chip 'n Dale's is like male strippers. I'm not sure what I'm guessing. The cartoon came first, I hope, and then the Chip 'n Dale strippers came after. But come on, T, I'm going to work now. All right, Master Yoshi, you won't be able to deal with any more of this nostalgic goodness we're spewing. What's the word? Sporadically and organically. My Disney was Kim Possible and Lilo and Stitch. I remember I was too old for them, but I remember those being good. My daughter loves Lilo and Stitch. I don't know if she knows Kim Possible that well, but read my comments. Okay, sir. I will go back and read your comments. I like the cat girl in Shaq Fu. Oh, God. Oh, goodness. Aren't they on Rocky 17 already? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Show me a Rubik's Cube you have. I have to go dig it out. If you're talking to me, Master Yoshi, I would have to go dig that out. And it's probably not. It's probably broken. But I have one. I love Spyro. Yeah, I didn't miss too much of what you were saying. I answered can I solve a Rubik's Cube already, so yes I can. Well, I could. I won't say I can today. But that's one of the cool things that teaching, I saw a lot of students bringing Rubik's Cubes to class, and they were adamant on like trying to solve those things, and I thought that was cool because they're good, you know, for puzzle solving. So I left Mario Kart 8 comment. There are a lot of comments here, my man. I'm only one person, and it's not highlighted, so it's hard to find. If you want me to, if you really want me to reply, just, you know, tag me in your comment. It helps. I'd love to race you in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe one of these nights, T, around this time. Okay, if I'm on. I wish Nintendo will make it easier for you to send me a, you know, an invite. But yeah, that's cool. Nickelodeon. Oh man, da 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 da. Yeah, Doug was great. Yeah, 90s Nickelodeon cartoons were great. Even like Rugrats. I liked. Disney is very popular in Japan. I know, Harui. A lot of you, from what I remember reading about, learning about, is that a lot of anime was inspired by Disney cartoons. So that's cool. Very cool. Disney has a Disney World in Japan. Yeah, I know. You think I don't know that, Harui? Especially because Super Mario, or is it called Super Mario World or Land, is there. Did they finish that? We're getting it here too. The one in Cali, and the one very close to me, 20 miles from me, or 20 miles, 20 minutes or so from me, in Orlando. It's why Kingdom Hearts is so popular. Oh, okay, makes sense. Super Nintendo World, that's what it is. I don't know why I said Mario. I know that didn't sound right. Super Nintendo World. Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brother Super Show. It's the Mario Brothers, and Plumber's a game found a secret warp. Someone working on a drain. Lend the princess a hand in the mushroom land. You want action from the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Right? Evil Cooper and his troopers are up to misbehaving. They kidnapped the princess. Mushroom Land's been saving. I mean, I know my Mario Brothers Super Show. It's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Do the Mario. You know what I'm saying? You got to do the Mario. The virus delayed the plans. Okay, yeah. I mean, I thought they had picked them or restarted, but goatee, says Jonathan. Yeah, I remember all that stuff. It's crazy how much I remember. One of my favorite cartoons is very obscure, and it led into my love of Star Fox. And Miyamoto has never mentioned this as a inspiration for Star Fox, but it has to be, and that is Bucky. Captain Bucky O'Hare, mutants and aliens and toads beware. You're looking for adventure? Well, this is it. With Jenny Deadeye, Blinky, and Willie DeWitt. I'm talking Bucky. Captain Bucky O'Hare. There's no way, in my mind anyway, that Bucky O'Hare was not influenced by Star Fox. Or did not influence Star Fox. I know that Miyamoto was a huge fan of Thunderbirds, and so was I. And he got inspiration from that show. But, I mean, we're talking animals flying spacecraft. That was Bucky O'Hare, man. And they had a hair. You know, they had, you know, Peppy. But Bucky was the leader. I love that show. Love it. It was only one season. I couldn't remember. I thought it was more than that. Great video game, too, on Super Nintendo. Greatness. If you haven't played it, you got to do that. Thunderbirds. I love the Thunderbirds. I mean, if you know, I got to get back to it on my channel, and I will. Puppeting this guy here, I got to get back to this. But a lot of that came from shows like a lot of what I did with Mizzah Tee here came from shows like Thunderbirds, and there was another show that was similar to Thunderbirds, and even Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, when he would go to the librarian, and there was a little puppet librarian. He'd go into that world. I can't remember the name of it, but a lot of the stuff that I do kookily and crazy on here is from, childhood stuff. Like this guy. Hey there, fools. Mizzah Tee here, and I'm back with another video. I need to fix his leg. He got like he got a sleepy leg syndrome there. Dexter's Laboratory, no doubt. Rocket Power, Tiny Toons Adventures. They're tiny, they're toony, they're all a little loony. And in this cartooning, we're invading your TV. We're comic dispensers. We crack up all the censors. At Tiny Toons Adventures, get a dose of comedy. So here's Acme Acres, it's a whole wide world apart. Our home sweet home stands alone, a cartoon work of art. Expect word, expect it, expect the unexpected. The Tiny Toons Adventures is about to start. They're furry, they're funny, they're Babs and Buster Bunny. Montana Max is money, Elmira is a pain. There's Hampton and Plucky, Dizzy, Devil, Ducky, Furball's unlucky, and Go-Go is insane. At Acme University, we earn our toon degree because we surpassed it getting laughs since 1933. We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony. It's Tiny Toon Adventures. Come and join the fun. And now my song is done. I mean, the Animaniacs. Yeah, okay. I'm going to get stricken down, probably. But, yeah, man. I actually sang that song for an audition for a commercial. I didn't get it, but back in the day when I was a kid. So I really know it. I really know that song. Well, I mean, I knew it beforehand. I was asked to sing something that I knew. And that was it. And I thought they loved it. They cheered and smiled and sent me on my way and gave the commercials to some other kid, I guess. But good times. I'm glad we're ending the show on this note and not on what it started as. Reminiscing. Did you watch Super Ted? No, I don't know Super Ted, Harui. DuckTales, ooh. The danger walks behind you. There's a stranger out to find. I mean, I could do it all. I'm not going to do it. I could do all of them. I was a cartoon fanatic. Cartoon kid. I loved them. I ran home from school after school to catch the Fox cartoons. What do they call that? Fox Kids. I caught the Disney cartoons. I caught Sonic. What do they call it? There's different names for it. There was a Sonic that was like there's two Sonics. I can't remember the name of it, but after these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And I used to dread 11:30 hitting because 11:30 on a Saturday morning. It's like, oh, it's almost over. I don't know the Kirby song. That's one I don't know. I know the cartoon, but I don't remember the Kirby song. But Turtles, I could sing you. We're the world's most fearsome fighting team. We're heroes in a half shell, and we're green. When the evil Shredder attacks, these turtle boys will cut them no slack. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Splinter taught them to be ninja team. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines. That's a fact, Jack. Raphael is cool but crude. Give me a break. Michelangelo is a party dude. Party! You know what I'm saying? Why do I remember this stuff? I don't know. Transformers Beast Wars. I remember Transformers Beast Wars. I never really got into it. I've probably seen 10 episodes my entire life. Party! 1GWX party! You gotta party, man. You gotta fight for your right to party. You know what I'm saying? That's Cartoon Sin. Did you watch anime? I didn't watch a lot of anime. I watched anime movies. Like I was like, Akira, Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D. Like I was watching movies, but I didn't really watch a lot of anime shows. Unless you count like Power Rangers. But I wasn't anime. It's just but if you do, Voltron, Speed Racer, I grew up with that stuff. But I didn't watch a lot. Did you play the Samurai Jack game, says Arui? No, I have not, because I don't want to spend $50. When it comes down, I probably will get it. Comes down to about $15, then I'll probably try to get it then. Street Sharks. Talk about 90s one-hit wonders. Yeah, Street Sharks. Gargoyles. Remember Gargoyles? That was probably a one-hit wonder as well. Cops. I don't know if that was 90s. I think that might have been late 80s. COPS. Cops. I just remember that was that one villain called Mr. Meaner, and he was either hermaphrodite or he was either trans, and I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I just thought that was like, wow, because he was like, he or she was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Was androgynous, and it was called Ms. So it was like Ms. Ter together, and I just thought it was super clever. Misdemeanor, like that was his name or her name. I just thought that was cool because you didn't see that in those days. I gotta find that cartoon. Nobody remembers Cops, not the TV show. Bad Boys, not that stuff. I'm talking about there was a cartoon called Cops, and it was these beefcake ass cops, and it was like kind of futuristic, I think. Does anybody remember that? Please tell me you remember Cops, because it was probably a one-season show as well. But I used to love that show. Tales from the Crypt, the animated series. Oh gosh. All right, one GWX remembers Cops. Good. It's not just me. Oh, Jonathan Reed too. All right, cool. I just remember there being really cool villains. Like there was this one like beefcake chisel chin, like sergeant or main detective guy. He was like the one main guy, and then really cool villains like Misdemeanor. Just the coolest name. It was just so clever to me. And I understood it. Even as a young kid, I understood what they were trying to bring across there. It was this trans villain. Before we understood what trans was, there was this trans villain named Mr. Me. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Even the New York Jets. Oh yeah, New York Jets. I mean, there was like these crazy one-hit wonders like All Stars. Remember All Stars with... wasn't the real characters they were playing. It was Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. All stars, man. I think like poor Bo Jackson like blew out his knee like not too long after that. It's sad. That dude was amazing. He was an amazing athlete. Oh, Big Boss and his crooks. You remember Count Duckula. Yeah, some good stuff, man. I'm trying to remember the more obscure cartoons. I mean, Brave Star wasn't obscure. But again, it was super progressive. I thought to have this. I want that to be like a superhero-ish type of movie so bad. Brave Star, like if you know, that was one of my dreams of going to Hollywood and pitching a Brave Star movie. You know, finding a Native American actor and just giving him all these cool powers. I don't know about the setting. I don't know if I wouldn't probably set it. I would make it more like, I wouldn't say modern, but like a futuristic throwback Texas, you know, like with people walking around, but maybe some mutants and stuff like that. But in the future, set in the future, but like that old Wild West aesthetic. And then like have this character of Braveheart, which is, I think, is one of the coolest backstories for a cartoon character, because they didn't put a whole lot of thought in the cartoon characters in those days, because they just cartoons were just to sell toys, because toys were way bigger as far as making money. So cartoons were, you know, they would come up with they would have a toy, and they come up with a cartoon to sell the toy, and that's how it worked back in the day. So you had like Centurions and Visionaries. Who remembers Centurions? Power Extreme and Visionaries. Visionaries was so cool because they had like the little holograms, animals on their. It was like knights, and they had like these holograms on their chest plates, and that was their power. So the hologram, like a bird or a lion or something, would come out of it. It was cool stuff. And then there was like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. That was very cool. It was like a bunch of football players got trapped in the past, and they became like King Arthur and the Knights. And the name of the football team was the Knights. So pretty quirky stuff. Carmen Sandiego. All right, Jonathan remembers Centurions. Do you remember Visionaries though? Visionaries. I probably remember the commercials more than the. Oh man, Chaotic, you got me. You hit me with my Silverhawks. I mean, that's anime, right? Technically. Silverhawks. Silverhawks. I had the entire playset. It was years after the cartoon. And we were walking by a thrift store, and they were in the window, and it was like $20. And mind you, $20 was a lot of money for a poor family. And it wasn't just me. I wasn't an only kid. I think it was 3 of us at that time, 3 or 4 of us. 3 of us. And to spend $20 just on me was a lot of money for us. And it was just the entire play set, like all the Silverhawks, the villains, and like the big bird ship they used to fly. I just remember I really liked the cowboy. Was his name Billy? He had the guitar. He would play it, and it would shoot like a laser beam. It was the coolest thing in the world. And I was probably too old at the time, but I grew up loving. I was probably like 13 or something. You know, today that's too old to be playing with toys, but I think back then it was still okay. And my mom bought it for me, and my 13-year-old self was playing the crap out of that. It was very cool. Maybe I was 12. I think I was 12. Yeah, I was 12. But yeah, man, I loved Silverhawks. So I guess, I mean, if you count Silverhawks as okay, anime has to be a Japanese art style, the art from Japan. Elitist gatekeeping. But it wasn't Silverhawks. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was Japanese animated, but I could be wrong. Don't watch Persona 5, the animation over the game Persona. Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about there. You lost me. Silverhawks. Oh man, Thundercats. I mean, come on, thunder, 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 Thundercats. Oh, yeah, I love the Thundercats. I remember having Lionel's claw with the sword that came with it. It was plastic, but so cool. I mean, Sword of Omen, give me sight beyond sight. Good stuff. Good stuff. Dude, this is what girls talk about. You know, when they're in their 40s. Women, do they talk about, you know, the cartoons they used to watch, like us boys? They sit around and talk about Jim and the holograms. It's said I can't think about Jim and the holograms without thinking about that horrible movie that came out a couple years ago. What were they thinking? Who was that movie for? It was terrible. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. But it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Good gracious. I was supposed to be out of here an hour ago. You got me reminiscing. I got to go now, though. But, yeah. So I will be streaming GameCube tomorrow. That I would. You guys probably saw me on here struggling to get my stream going, and it just never got going. So I just dumped everything and started over, and I went back to really basic OBS, and it's working. So just gonna rock with that. Shira and the Princess of Power. Yeah. Masters of the Universe. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining. I'm glad we ended on a happy note, on a nostalgic note, which is great. Appreciate you all. Harui, Dark Flame, Jonathan Reed, Chaotic. Terminator Juice was in here earlier. Rob, Ruler 2. Always glad to see you, man. 1GWX. Master Yoshi, who left earlier. Kahuna. Did I say Dark Flame? I think I did. You guys know who you are. I'm just scrolling here trying to see if I can catch everybody. I think I did. Aiji. I said Master Yoshi already. Mecha Art. I said Jonathan already. But shout out to you again, Jonathan Reed. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to get on out of here. It was a great trip down memory lane. Had fun. See you guys tomorrow evening. I'll be streaming one of my favorite unsung, forgotten GameCube games, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, and maybe another game, Mystery. So we'll see where that goes. And I plan on, and I'll be streaming Eternal Darkness. I'll stream the whole game. Not in one night, but I'll make that a series. So look forward to that as well. Love that game, one of the classics. And I think after that, maybe I'll go to N64 and come back and do Beyond Good and Evil. I haven't played that game in a while, and I want to replay it. So that's another one. Zeno, what's up? I mean, what's up? It's too late. I'm out of here. Yeah, you got to hear at the end. But anyway, thank you guys for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.